welcome to the maiden voyage here on TullyVision. And of course, we couldn't do it without a member of the OG Four Horsemen. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the best bad guys of all time, but a great guy these days, Mr. Tully Blanchard. Tully, how are you, man?
Well, I thought I was a great guy back in those days.
Man, I'm so excited.
It's great to be on the podcast with you, and it's great to have TullyVision.
We are excited about this. We've got a live studio audience. Appreciate you guys joining us here today. We're going to be talking a little bit about your career and just sort of go through your perspective episodically here. And I guess we should really just start at the beginning. I mean, I think you started wrestling back in 75. Do I have that right? I mean, this is a family business, right?
Right. But I was still in college in 75, and my participation was as a referee because you couldn't be a professional in one sport and be an amateur and still be eligible to play football in college. And so then they changed that rule before my senior year in 1977, and I went to Atlanta to wrestle for 1 month, which was my first on the road, being one of the guys before I went back and played my senior year at West Texas State, and it was very enlightening to be on the road every night, wrestling every night. Although Georgia was a great territory to start because your longest trip was 150 miles to Augusta and then years later when I went to Florida and was driving 1,500 miles a week, and then went up to North Carolina where you could drive anywhere from 2,500 miles a week to just craziness. But it was 1977 when I first put on tights. But the years of refereeing, I think, accelerated my career because the referee was in the matches, 6 matches a night.
Oh, wow.
The opening match, second match, third match, fourth match, and then the main event. So you're in the ring with the Jose Lotharios and the Wahoo McDaniels and the Dory Funks and the Terry Funks and the big stars that were making the business happen, and you were right there watching it up close and personal and actually being part of it as much as the referee can be involved. And I think that accelerated my career extensively when I got on the road and started wrestling, and then finally went back home in 78.
Now, when you say it accelerated your career, I mean, I think you're talking about just shortening up the learning curve. I just want to make sure, though, are we talking about it really advanced you as far as understanding timing or placement?
Yes. All of the above. Okay. All of the above. Because the referee is involved in so many of the things. And when you go out there and watch a preliminary match or an opening match, and you understand why this match is the opener, and then you understand why Jose Lothario and Black Gordman are the main event, and you see what they do and how different it is, and then you bring it back to American style from the Mexican style, and you get Wahoo in there, and you watch him and somebody beat up at, him and Flair beat each other up, and you see the timing, and you see the comebacks, and you see all the things that people react to, but you're watching it up close and personal and how it's done.
Do you remember any specific sort of light bulb moments when you were the third man in the ring, when you were a referee and you saw somebody do something and it clicked on a higher level for you, where you're like, okay, I got it now?
I really can't think of a time when I knew I was getting it.
I got you.
And every night that I refereed, I knew that I was getting better and I was becoming a better referee and all of those kind of things. And I think the biggest it hit me was when I did that first summer month in Georgia, because I was a preliminary guy, but I was going out and able to have matches with guys that were better than a first time in the ring guy, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. When you were first getting going, did you know right away, hey, it's more fun to be a bad guy? Or is that something you came around to?
To be really honest with you, I was trying to think about that the other day, because I had come back from North Carolina. We had hired Wahoo as our booker, and I was not a bad baby face, but I wasn't a great baby face. And I forget why I told Wahoo that I wanted to switch heel. But it was something that he and I butted heads on it, and my dad kind of butted heads in there too. But the match that I switched heel in was we'd had a one-night tournament for the Southwest Championship trophy, heavyweight championship belt, and I wrestled Alberto Madril for the champion and it was a babyface championship match, and I did something very easy for people to understand. We were doing a spot and he leapfrogged me and I hit him in the crotch with my head, and he went down and was selling it, and I told the referee, I said, count, he's down, count, and counted him down. And so I did that great babyface move. I said, he lost, I won, give me the championship.
Yeah. I love it.
And that's how I switched heel.
What year was that? Do you recall?
That had to be 78 or 79. And I stayed there until I know 77. I went to Florida and North Carolina, came back home in 78. It was probably the end of 78 or early part of 79. And then I stayed until 84, and then I came back to North Carolina.
I can't wait for us to talk about all the details in between, because I'm still trying to learn about your dad's territory. It feels like there's been a lot of discussion about a lot of the others, but I don't think a lot of people realize that your dad's company was able to get national TV through the USA Network. And that's just, I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, it ultimately led to Vince getting that, and he went national with your dad's television spot. I mean, it's really a crazy story, is it not?
Oh, it's crazy is one description.
Yeah. I can't wait for us to talk about that. Of course, the reason we're here tonight is to revisit. Do you think this match, the I Quit match with Magnum, is that maybe the match you're known best for? Is this your most famous match, do you think?
Probably. It is when you go to the autograph shows, I think more people talk about and come up to me and ask for an autograph, and they tell me I didn't say I quit. And you know, but the build up at the time, because the Crockett's territory had reached a bottom low in late 73, early 74, and I came in February, and then Dusty came in, and Magnum came in, and a few other came in. But the turnaround when Wahoo switched heel and was my partner, and we were just getting everything going, and the TV title and then the U.S. title that Magnum had, and I mean, he beat the tar out of me all across the Eastern Seaboard until we had that match, and but the hype of that match was, I don't know. I know that Terry Funk had a few I Quit matches, but I don't think very many people had ever really seen them.
Right.
Cage match, no holds barred, no rules, no anything. The only way you can win is the referee puts the microphone in your mouth and you say, I quit. And then he walks out with the championship belt, and I never said I quit. So,
right.
You know, I'm staying firm on that.
I love this match. I love the story, and I love just how intertwined your lives, you know, were from then on. And, you know, that's all story for another day, but the match itself still lives on. I mean, I think it's the high watermark amongst wrestling historians or wrestling fans. I mean, people regard this as the greatest I Quit match of all time, certainly the greatest I Quit cage match. But I wanted to talk just a little bit about, you know, because you had seen some things. I mean, you grew up in the business and had been the referee, and now you're on top and you're in a great spot. But we talked a little bit about the end of 83, and I think you mistakenly said 73, but we're the end of 83 when Starrcade really gets going, Dusty's big dream show. He's not really on it, but boy, he is a big part of the programming moving forward. And we've all heard that at times, various people on the roster got frustrated with Dusty's booking. When you find out that you're going to be working with Magnum, were you excited about that? Did you think he was the right kind of baby face for you? You guys could have good chemistry together, or were you not so sure at first?
I had great matches with whoever I wrestled. So, right. I mean, I can say that because there wasn't anybody that was at that level, at a main event level, that I couldn't have matches with. And he and I had great chemistry that the people loved, and they loved to cheer for him, and they loved to not cheer for me. And, you know, it was just the right timing in his career, because he had started in Oregon and then came and worked for my dad and I in San Antonio. And then I left, and then he followed. Well, I think he went to Louisiana for just a little while, and then came to North Carolina, and or came to work for Crockett. And that's about the same time that the cable television world domination, wrestling domination came on, and but it was, you know, just I can remember we were in some border town in Virginia in October, and it was 30 degrees outside in a baseball field, and we had sold the place out, and I got in the ring and I said, "It is friggin' cold."
Yeah.
I might have been a little bit more graphic than that. and so it was probably one of the shorter matches that he and I had. And but nonetheless, they got to see blood and guts, and in 30 degrees, sitting in the cold, and then we went home.
In doing research for this show, I wanted to see, hey, when did you guys first start working together? And I think you may have crossed paths in Southwest, but the first time I could see a documented record that said you guys wrestled was January of '85. Does that sound right for your first match with Magnum?
Yeah, in Carolina. I don't know that I wrestled him. I knew that he was a top talent, but I was already, he wasn't on top yet when he worked for my dad. And but he was somebody that you knew was going to get the push.
Sure.
And so I probably didn't wrestle him at that time for Southwest. And but that was probably it.
January 27th and January 28th are the first time we can see that you actually wrestled against Magnum. It was in Roanoke and Greenville. You would have several more over the next month doing house show loops. But Magnum actually wins the U.S. title from Wahoo in a steel cage match on March 23rd, 1985. There in Charlotte. You would have lost the television title to Dusty a week earlier in Greensboro. Of course, you win it back about 6 weeks later in Charlotte, and then finally lose it back to Dusty July 6th, 1985 in a steel cage match at the Great American Bash in Greensboro. Were you sort of, as you think about 85, and talking to Jim Crockett a few years ago, he told me that, he felt like 86 was their biggest year ever as far as gate receipts and revenue and all that stuff. But 85 is when, they got television back from Vince. They're on TBS after the whole Black Saturday debacle, and you could really see the growth with the benefit of hindsight. Were you happy with your lot in life, you think, in 85, or were you one of those never satisfied performers? I mean, even if I'm the world champ, I need to win it again, or I need to main event another, or were you content in 85?
No, championships were just a tool.
Sure.
To keep heat, get heat, if you were a bad guy. My goal every night was to have the best match that I could have and try to make everybody around me have better matches. And that's the competition that we without talking about it, that was inside the Horsemen. That was our competition, but it was, entertaining the fans and wrestling in front of sellouts is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And in late 84, when it started turning around, 85, 86, 87. I mean, I can't remember really a time that it wasn't sold out.
Right.
And it was a great time in the business, and it was a great time to work for Crockett and Dusty and all the things that we thought of, and watching them blossom, all the way back to the first time we had the World's Perfect Woman contest, the 10 contest, and we were going to put a female manager with me, and I, not getting ahead or whatever else.
Yeah, go ahead.
But it was in that same period. So we were advertising. I'm getting on TV every week. I'm looking for the World's Perfect Woman. Send me your pictures. Blah blah blah. And the pictures we got were phenomenal. It was. We got naked women, naked men.
Wow.
It was yes. On Saturday morning.
My goodness.
And so we walked into we were wrestling in Miami We'd done a few Florida shots that Dusty wanted us to do during Christmas, and Nicola, whose mom and dad were the promoters up in Lubbock, and met her before, never thought she would be Baby Doll. We were looking for Sunshine and couldn't find her because she was in a drug rehab somewhere.
Wow.
And so we just kept looking, and got in the dressing room in Miami and shook hands with everybody and said hi. And I saw Nicola, and she was wrestling as Nicola the Lady Giant.
Yes.
And I ran over, I snuck across the building and jumped into Dusty's dressing room. I said, Dusty, I found Baby Doll. I said, Nicola has got to be Baby Doll. And he talked to her and looked at her, and we hired her, and she was beautiful and bigger than me.
Yeah. So the way you phrase that, I'm wondering, are you saying that in hindsight, or did you already have the name picked out? You knew it was going to be Baby Doll.
Oh, Baby Doll the name was already there. We were already having.
You just fill in the role.
Yeah, we were trying to find Sunshine, but I don't think it would have been near as successful with Sunshine, because I'd have walked out with Sunshine.
Yeah.
But I walked out with 6'2".
Yeah.
Nicola, and she was the perfect woman for the role. And
yes.
She was Baby Doll.
Yes.
And it was extremely successful.
You get your first chance at Magnum's U.S. title on April 7th in Roanoke. You're going to continue to have matches for the next 3 months, including some with Dusty joining in. Abdul the Butcher would get in the mix every now and again. And you actually win the U.S. title for Magnum on July 21st in Charlotte. And the chase is on for the rest of the summer, and Magnum always comes up short. And I've heard Bruce Pritchard talk about before that he felt like New York, Vince McMahon's WWF, was a babyface territory, and a lot of the other territories, including Ric Flair and the big gold belt or the 10 pounds or whatever, he was sort of a heel champion, and you had the baby faces chasing. Your philosophy on wrestling, do you have a preference? Do you prefer a babyface champion or a heel champion?
Heel champion by far.
Yeah.
And it is the NWA world champion was always a heel for the most part. And the people want the underdog and want the
local hero.
The local hero to win. Well, the same thing with the U.S. title or anything. And, and if I could just get out of the ring bloody or whatever the case might be with the belt, then you had the next chapter to write. And every now and then you had to go and, Magnum won every belt that I had eventually. And Dusty won every belt that I had eventually. And Dusty won the world championship eventually. Yeah. And to prove to their people that, hey, we can do this.
Right.
And then they go back to chasing. The New York style is, it's great that New York City is the largest city in the country and possibly the world, because you could sell out Madison Square Gardens. You only needed 16,000 of them.
Well, there you go. You have this incredible chase, this incredible feud with Magnum chasing you throughout the summer, and you give him one last shot at the Greensboro Coliseum. It's October 19th, 1985, and you make it clear ahead of time, if Magnum can't beat me here, I'm never wrestling him again. You guys go 45 minutes, and Of course, it's all story. You guys accidentally knock each other out, and the match is ruled a draw. So Magnum's hopes are sort of dashed. I like that because it does feel like when a heel throws down a challenge like that, hey, if he doesn't beat me here, I'm never wrestling him again. He'll never get another shot.
Yeah.
But it's not a clean
believable.
finish. Yes.
And if you make your stuff believable, people will buy tickets. And that's always what we tried to do. Hopefully it was, that's why people can still remember.
As a reminder, after he can't have another shot and his hopes have been dashed, and that's it, no more, it's a draw. That's when Magnum throws down the gauntlet and says, one more time, the end all be all, you and me in an I Quit match, one man will finally surrender and we'll have a clear winner. And of course, on camera, you're saying, absolutely not, never again. And his first response is to go after Baby Doll. And he's going to try to teach her what it's like to be with a real man. And he forces a kiss on her. And David Crockett is behind him yelling, look, she likes it. She likes it. This is hilarious stuff. What do you remember about this skit and segment?
It worked.
Yeah.
So it was good Tully TV.
It was, absolutely. You know, you're actually the baby face here because he gets a little forceful with her. It looks like he's going to rip her dress. You come in and beat him up for trying to take advantage. So, you know, listen, it was 85, a different time. These days, you'd be the clear-cut baby face and all that. And your second response, or his second response, is to just start beating up a bunch of enhancement guys on TV. I mean, this is like almost the original Goldberg push. The bell rings, belly to belly, pin. What'd you think of that way of building him back towards a rematch? Just these series of really quick finishes.
I didn't have a thought on it.
Yeah.
It was everything else that we had been doing was working. So you don't upend the apple cart. And Dusty had a great mind and all that stuff. And it was just rolling.
Let's do a question from some of our live studio audience members. If you guys have a question, drop it below and we will get there. But before we do, I wanted to ask, you know, after Magnum is winning all these matches and he's begged for an I Quit match, and Bob Geigel, the president of the NWA at the time, says no, that it's gotten too personal and too violent, and he can't in good conscience sanction a match like this. And that's where we see one of the more rare appearances from Jim Crockett on TV, where he basically says, we can't not give the fans this match. If we have a contract, I have the power to sign a match and give it any stipulation I want. We just so happen to have an old contract signed by Tully Blanchard we weren't using, which is kind of funny because now he's making the match and forcing you into it. It's not only, you know, a U.S. title match inside of a steel cage, but it's an I Quit match in a steel cage. And you are none too happy the following week. I got to tell you, I like as a storytelling device the involvement of Bob Geigel as the NWA president. Did you have any experiences with him? What was your read on Mr. Geigel?
I had, my dad had known him for long time, and you know, I got to meet him a few times, but it made everything legitimate, you know, because everything in sports was the commissioner of baseball or the commissioner of football or
yes,
this and that. And so it made it real. And the story that we told was, you know, I'm not having a match. And they had to hoodwink me into that stinking match. And, you know, I'd like to know how many people have ever watched that match with the internet and everything on now. And I don't even know if there's a way to do that, but that would be interesting to me. I know I quit watching it because there's a few spots in there that I didn't like, that I would have changed. And most people say everything was as good as it could be, but I'm probably my own worst critic.
I love hearing you say that, because several years ago when Brian Danielson was on a tear with a lot of critical awards like Dave Meltzer's, Luthez and Ric Flair Award for Wrestler of the Year, he had won it several years in a row. And I saw an interview with him where he said, I can't watch my old stuff. And he didn't mean like from 10 years ago or 5 years ago. He meant from like 5 months ago. Because he's like, I just keep trying to get better and evolve. And if I just see my stuff from a year or two ago, I'm just not happy, because I know the performer I am today, I would not do that. Is that sort of what you're sort of explaining there, that knowing what you know now, you wouldn't have done that? Or at the time, were you frustrated with the match?
No, I wasn't frustrated with the match at all. I mean, it is the wrestling fans at that time, especially in the Greensboro Coliseum, if you did something bad, they reacted poorly to it.
Right.
And I mean, they didn't do anything but scream and holler the whole time, from when I walked out and he walked out and we got in the cage. And I mean, it was just explosion. And this is just me when I first watched it, just little nuances that being the professional that I always tried to be, if I'd adjusted this and done this would have been a better spot. Just 2 or 3 things. Because I don't think that, I mean, you look at it, and I haven't watched it in years and years. I mean, there's not much that you can do to make that a better match.
Right.
From the violence to the blood to the everything that we did, and he did beat the crap out of me too. So this.
Well, I like in storyline that you're going to start cutting promos on TV on the march here to Starrcade once the match is already made. You're talking about how Magnum doesn't even know how to be successful, so it's no wonder he can't beat you. He looks like an idiot driving around an old rusted out motorcycle. He's never invested in his lifestyle. And you recently visited Virginia Beach and learned a little secret about Magnum. And at Starrcade, Magnum's going to be begging me, Mr. Tully, put me out of my misery. And of course, as we get ready to close for the show, Magnum says, I don't care if you know my secrets. I've got more heart than you. I'm going to beat the hell out of you at Starrcade. And boy, what an event it was. I mean, this is a major event. And this is really the precursor for WrestleMania. Starrcade 83 predated WrestleMania, but now we're in the same calendar year as the very first one. And Starrcade has expanded. It's now in both Atlanta and in Greensboro. If you had it, to do over again, would you have wanted this match to happen in Greensboro or Atlanta?
No, Greensboro was where our company thrived, and the Greensboro fans were unbelievable, and they deserved the match, and the build up and the climax of the match when Terry walked out with the belt and the people just kept screaming and screaming and screaming. It was that the job was done well, and you got to have the bad guy and you got to have the good guy, and it was crazy. And then go to Atlanta where Dusty and Flair were more over in Atlanta, not more over than being in Greensboro, but I didn't have the exposure in Georgia, neither did Magnum, so we were in the right place.
What a fun match it is. I'm actually watching it back while we're doing this conversation here. And what's interesting is, really in the scheme of things, this is less like a traditional wrestling match and more like just a badass fight. I mean, I don't know another way to say it. I mean, there's just violence here, and it feels more like a fight and less like. I mean, we're not doing headlock takeovers and wrist locks. We're punching, we're kicking, we're digging in wounds. We're looking for blood and violence, and I mean, that's what this story really dictated, right?
Absolutely. I mean, this was the culmination, as you covered earlier. I mean, I was forced into the match because Jim Crockett doctored up the contract that I signed a blank contract, and now I'm being outsmarted, and it was the promotion thought they were winning. The wrestling fans thought they were winning. Magnum thought he was winning. And we all won because we got to go to the bank.
Talk to me a little bit about how matches were put together back then. I mean, these days, most everybody listening to this knows that there's an agent for a match and they're going to talk through finishes and all of that. But this is a different era. I mean, a lot of times the heels and the baby faces wouldn't even see each other ahead of time. They had separate dressing rooms, and maybe there'd be a liaison with a referee or something like that. For a match like this, where you know it's going to be on closed circuit, it might become a home cassette. You're going to have a lot of eyeballs on this, and there's a lot of pressure to really maybe not just deliver, but over deliver. Was there an agent type setup back in this era, or how different was it back then compared to what we see today?
Very different from what you see today.
Yes.
That night, we knew, I didn't know what Baby Doll was going to throw in. I didn't know she was going to throw a chair in. She was going to throw something in the ring that I was going to jab him in the head with. And when she threw a chair in, and the quickest thing I could do was throw the chair down and break it,
right,
and grab a piece of it. And that was certainly an unplanned thing. But go back a little bit, the heels that were at the level that the Horsemen were, and the other guys that were veterans, the business taught you that the heels lead the match.
Right.
And not very many people today are called ring generals because they don't lead the match. They choreograph it, which I don't know how to do that. I would not know how to do that. And it is, you react to what the story that the audience has been told. And in the I Quit match, they had all that buildup, the months and months and months of buildup and chasing the title and going after it, and the fights that they'd seen and everything. And now the manipulation to be in this match, and I Quit. And finally, when I jumped into the thing, and we went to the ring, and the only thing we knew is that at some point he was going to get whatever foreign object I brought into the ring and jab it into my head, and I would say yes. And that was then the rest of the stuff. And I hope nobody could ever see me tell him to do things.
Right.
But I kind of took pride in that we didn't communicate. But there's a lot of stuff that we didn't have to communicate because it was just reactionary.
And you would work together so many times. You're probably familiar with each other and know his tendencies and all that.
Yeah, oh yeah, but you now have the cage that you had to deal with, because if you don't put the gimmick over,
it's dead.
The gimmick is dead.
Yeah.
So you've got to put the cage over. You've got to have me climbing up the cage and trying to get out and get away. And you've got to have those things. And so it was all of that kind of stuff. And then you got to have the microphone in there, because the microphone, so that you could say, I quit. And then, he started hitting me with the microphone, and 16,000 people could hear it. And,
Did you thought of that beforehand, or did that just happen?
No, none of this was talked about.
Okay.
Nothing in the match was talked about except that I would say yes.
I'm saying even like the microphone spot where you're hitting him, like, did you know ahead of time? Like, had you thought, hey, I wonder, it just happened. And it was, because it was awesome.
It was, I mean, he grabbed it and punched me with it, and I heard it thud across the building.
And you're like, we got to do that again.
Oh yeah. And, I'm going to get it out of his hand and hit him with it.
Sure. Amy Vaughn is with us. She is a Tully super fan. Thank you for joining us, Amy. And she says, that's crazy. I didn't know that Baby Doll didn't know what she was going to throw in. Was she just looking around ringside to see? I mean, I know these days they have floor managers, and they even have like a prop department or a magic department where they would make things. And I think there's been a lot of speculation. Like, if you broke that chair 100 times, you couldn't make it form the spike that it formed that day.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, you couldn't wish for that.
Well, she threw the chair in, and then I had to break it. And I think I banged it on the mat once, maybe twice, because it didn't break the first time I broke it. And then I stomped on it, and the littlest piece I could find was that long spike. And that was pretty phenomenal when I had that in my hand up over him, and I think I said, catch it.
Sorry about your eye. You should have caught it. I love this story. And talking wrestling with Pondwater Dave actually has a good point. He says, had Sunshine gotten the gig, it would have been so different, because she was probably too small to throw something into the cage. It does help that you've got a 6 foot tall wrestler there to throw it in, right?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's do a few questions here. We've got one from Anthony D. He says, you said your time with the Horsemen, you were booed everywhere except Philadelphia. What was your favorite time working there in Philadelphia?
In Philadelphia? Well, it was, we got booed everywhere except Philadelphia. And 100 miles down the road in Baltimore, they hated us. We got stuff thrown at us just walking across the street to the Coliseum from the hotel. Philadelphia was it was a very, very unique type setting, because they liked the Horsemen. But by the same token, we had to go in and still do what we did. And it some nights it was a little bit harder to do that, to get them to boo you or cuss you or whatever the case might be. But we had some great nights in Philadelphia. And it was, I really can't think of a town back in the mid 80s that I didn't like going to. I mean, I liked going to work. I liked performing. I liked having the people cheer, boo, hiss, whatever they did, just as long as I had a part in making them do whatever their response was.
To the part in the match where you've got that spike out. I mean, it is a perfect tee. You couldn't have asked for it any better. And immediately you just go kick the referee. And it makes me wonder, I know these days, the referee has an IFB, and so do the people at ringside. So they're on headset. They can communicate to somebody. This is 85. So as far as timing goes, do you know before you go out, hey, we're going to go roughly this many minutes? And how is that time being relayed to you guys in the match back in 85?
the timekeeper, I think, most of the time, if we needed 18 minutes, I knew that. And you got 5 minutes, you got 10 minutes, you got 15 minutes. They gave 5 minutes
I see.
interval over the loudspeaker.
So you're getting close.
Yeah. So I mean, it was easy to follow.
Right.
And if you got off track or way out in the blue, the referee would come up and say, "Hey, it's time to go."
Okay.
But that wasn't the case in this match. But I mean, it was time to really get nasty, and no disqualification. Again, you put the rules over. I threw Tommy into the cage, and then we went about our business.
Great stuff. I absolutely love watching these old classic matches back and just hearing how the sausage was made. And I asked that about, how were you communicating? Because I've heard in other territories, they would have a floor manager who put a pencil in his mouth, or somebody who waved their tie. And I didn't know if there was some sort of a code, but hey, if the PA guy is just saying 5 minutes expired, this many minutes remain, you're in the match. You heard that too,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they had all that other stuff too. I just didn't really pay attention to it. There comes a point that when your career gets to a place, you don't catch a lot of nothing happening pushback.
I got you. You're given a little bit of latitude and grace.
Yes.
Just do your thing. I got you. Chris North says, who was the better manager to work with, JJ or Bobby? And do you have a favorite road story with either?
They were the two best managers in the business.
Wow.
I liked JJ simply because he came to work with us every night.
I see.
And he started managing me when we got rid of, when Baby Doll switched babyface.
Yes.
And then when we went to the WWF, Bobby only managed us at television. So, but his name did help us get over and
sure.
And do that. And
do you think it was a happy accident that you wound up with JJ? I ask because I wonder, had Buddy Landell hung around, do you think there would have been an opportunity for you to still wind up with JJ?
Don't know.
Yeah.
I know that that the career path was much better with me.
Oh, no doubt.
Than Buddy Landell. And so since JJ was in the office,
right,
he probably would have ended up with me.
That makes sense.
Anyway, but that's speculation. I don't know that.
So a lot of our listeners probably don't know what JJ's sort of office role was. Could you tell everybody what his duties were there with Dusty?
Keep everything organized.
Yeah. I mean, as I've heard, occasionally Dusty, who was a genius, no one's debating that, he would write a bunch of matches for Town A, but then he'd write matches for Town B, and then accidentally the same guy was in both towns. And that can't happen too many times before somebody says, hey, we need a little help for this guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, JJ was meticulous.
Yes.
And was a great pleasure for me to travel with him and be with him. And then when the Horseman thing came along, it was great that he was with me and became the Horseman manager. And it was he was a key player.
We're talking a lot tonight about the I Quit match. We hope you'll go watch it from Starrcade 85. And Coach Keith has a question. He says, you had 4 big Starrcade matches, 84 versus Steamboat, 85 versus Magnum, 85 versus Dusty, First Blood, and 86. It's you and Arn against the Road Warriors. Lots of, I guess that's actually 87. But lots of big matches here, lots of big names. How would you rank those? Does Magnum rank number 1 for you? And then how does the rest fall?
The First Blood match was phenomenal because nobody expected me to beat Dusty.
Right.
And the first one, the Magnum was certainly, I think match quality was probably the best.
Yes.
And then the next match you said was
First Blood with Dusty.
Steamboat.
Oh, Steamboat. Yes.
Yeah, because Steamboat was leaving and going to New York, and that was the first time that, I mean, you can count on one hand the times that Steamboat got beat.
Right.
And for me to beat him for the TV title was a huge boost. And then the Magnum thing, even though I got beat, and then the First Blood match with Dusty was JJ's smoothness outside the ring and a jar of Vaseline that as I got back in the ring and Dusty was bleeding, and then the Road Warrior match in Chicago. I think we were in Chicago.
That's right. Yeah.
For that. And I think Arn and I were lucky just to get out of that thing alive. But it was a pretty phenomenal match too.
Is it true? I've heard through the years, and this could just be rumor and innuendo, but is it true, as far as you can recall, that maybe Steamboat was frustrated with the way the booking was going, and when he realized he was going to lose the television title, he felt like he wasn't going to move up the card, and that's the reason he went and joined the World Wrestling Federation?
No, I don't know this. This is speculation on my part. I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think, and this would be probably more going back to the way that Arn and I got recruited, that Steamboat got recruited.
I got you.
To go up there because they picked the people, they handpicked the people. And that you go back to Greg Valentine and Roddy Piper. They recruited them from Crockett and made big stars out of them. And they did the same thing with Steamboat. They did the same thing with me and Arn. They did the same thing. And they recruit the people that they want.
I got you.
And I don't think it was any kind of a negative. But Steamboat did the right thing.
Sure.
And gave his notice and allowed me to have a great match with him and win the title from him on his way out.
I know that it's been said a lot. People can't even imagine Ricky Steamboat being a good guy. A bad guy. I can't imagine you as a good guy. I mean, you were such a great heel. And it's hard for me to imagine you coming out and kissing babies. I feel like you'd be checking their wallets. Like, what a great character you were. And then when I got to meet you at Chicago Starrcast all those years ago, it was like, wow, I guess I'm still a goof because I had no idea who you really were. And it was fantastic. So thank you for that.
I was a very middle of the card babyface. And I was a very
main event heel.
My hand just went off the screen.
Yes.
I was a much better heel.
Yes.
But the things that I forget who I was talking to the other day, And I said, one thing, I'm the only promoter's kid that went to work for somebody else and became a star.
That's true.
And I'm the only promoter's kid that was ever a heel.
Wow. Okay. Look at there. Hard to argue.
And
we're coming in on an hour here, and I don't want to keep you all day, but I do want to get through a few questions here. Bobby says, when you and Arn left JCP for the WWF, did you have any conversations with the other horsemen prior to leaving?
I don't think so. I think it was a very heated thing about, and I forget just exactly what had happened, but I know that we were in Houston and I was pissed about something. And I told Dusty, I said,
your Starrcade payoff.
Is that what it was?
I think Arn has told me before that you guys were frustrated with the payoffs and felt like Crockett had said, hang in there, I'll make good on it on Starrcade. And then, of course, that's the year that Vince McMahon sabotaged it with Survivor Series. So the payoff wasn't nearly what Crockett was looking for. And when you got it, it was roughly half of what you were expecting. And I think
but I don't know that it was a money thought on my part, but it was something more about them using us.
I got you.
So, somehow in there. And it might have been money more so because they were negotiating with the Atlanta people.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I recall that.
And they were signing
opinions,
Dusty
right?
and Flair and Magnum and the Road Warriors to these big contracts, and Arn and I got nothing. I mean, and I'm still irritated about that a little bit. But it was, I told Dusty right then, I said, I quit. I said, I'm done. We can drop the belts tonight in Houston or tomorrow night in Philadelphia, but I'm done.
You know what? I recall now, as I remember hearing this story, I'm thinking back through my conversations with Arn years ago now. I think it was a circumstance where you were disappointed in the money, and at the same time, they had started to have some people from Turner sort of interviewing folks and asking questions. And from what I understood, you were a regular on the jet, one of the Crockett jets.
Oh, that's right. That's exactly
right. You gave
a
less than favorable answer to one of those Turner folks. Pissed off Jim Crockett. He said, you're off the jet. And you were like, well, I'm out of here. Is that right?
That's exactly right. I had to get my own transportation and drive these things, and they were taking the jet. And I said, I'm done. I said, You're going to play this piddly crap game. I said, I'm done. And so we had, Arn and I had already gone and met secretly with Vince.
Right.
So I know about the recruiting. So we dropped the belts in Philadelphia to the Midnight Express, and walking through the ropes, I told JJ Dillon, I said, this is the end of an era.
It's true.
And we walked out and went, and then Arn and I started a month later in New York.
What a phenomenal story. Can't wait to hear more about it. I want to give a shout out to Amy Vaughn, who's with us live here. She wants to know, what was that crowd the loudest, most reactive crowd you've wrestled in front of? Of course, she's talking about the I Quit match in Starrcade. What was the loudest, craziest crowd you wrestled in front of? Do you recall?
Oh, gosh, there were so many that were so loud. The one in Greensboro was just epic loud. But it is, Baltimore got loud. It was Philadelphia got loud. All across the country got loud. but the home fans in Greensboro had to be. I took more joy out of that than I did some of the other cities, even though I did try to have the greatest match I could have every night of the week.
We got another question here from Chris. He says, if Magnum doesn't have the wreck, how great would a Sting, Magnum, Lex, and Dusty team have been matched up with the Horsemen in a War Games match? Man, that's one of the great sort of what ifs, right? Of all time, of if Magnum wouldn't have had the wreck, what does Crockett look like? What does the NWA look like? What does wrestling look like, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. And it would have been just as long as they kept putting us across the page, writing our names down.
I love it. We've actually got somebody who's going to jump on here with us live and close us out. Our last question is going to be a video question from a great friend of the show, one of the OGs here at adfreeshows.com, Coach Rosie. Coach, what's your question for Tully?
Mr. Blanchard, the series of matches versus Magnum TA was the first time I ever stood up against my father. He loved Magnum TA, and he wouldn't let me root against anybody that he rooted for. But you were the first one that I said, you know what, Dad? I'm all about Tully Enterprises. I'm a horseman. Tully Blanchard's my guy. And he wouldn't talk to me for like a week or two after that. But he rubbed it in my face when Magnum won the championship. And up until the day that he passed, we laugh about that bond we had about this series of matches. So thank you.
Well, thank you for being the backbone of my fan base.
At 12 years old, going up against a truck driver, it was a big step in my life. It taught me how to be a man. So kudos to your storytelling, because he wasn't very happy, because he always thought you guys took the easy way out. You guys weren't hardworking guys. He was trying to teach me values through wrestling. I said, hey, I want the easy way out. I want the money. I want the jets. I want to be a horseman. But needless to say, it was great. But my question is this. The slingshot suplex, to me, was a superhero move at 12 years old. Man, you snapped them on that rope, you turned them around, and bam, right on their back. Where did you get that move? Are guys asking to use that move today? Asking permission, because I see a couple guys trying to pull it out, but it doesn't have the same flair and dramatics as when you used to snap it.
Well, actually, where I thought of it was Sergeant Slaughter used and took guys up like a suplex and then dropped them on their stomach on the top rope. And I don't know that he did that as a finish, but I think he did. And I said, holy smokes, I wonder if I could do that and take them back over in a suplex. And I started doing that, and it got over. And, you know, it's something that I never used in a match except one time in an arena match that somebody kicked out of it. I slingshotted Dusty and had him kick out of it in a match. And then it was, you know, just things I would use on TV. But that's where I thought of it, because I was watching Sergeant Slaughter and he did that thing and dropped him on the top rope.
Did anybody surprise you more than when you were able to get Big Bubba Rogers up? I mean, he was an enhancement talent for you on an early Saturday morning TBS taping. It's going to be live to tape. This is a big old boy. I mean, he's probably 350, 400 pounds. And this is before he's Big Bubba Rogers. He's just the enhancement talent, and he's using his real name, and he's in black tights, and you hit it. And supposedly Dusty in the back could not believe what he saw and said, we got to sign that kid. What do you remember of getting Big Bubba Rogers up?
When I did it, I got up on my knees and I went, yeah. If you ever get a chance to see that TV shot again, I said, oh my, I went in and I said, how am I supposed to slingshot this guy?
Right.
I said, he's huge.
He's twice your size.
Oh, I couldn't, but we went for it. And I told him, I said, look, I said, I'm going to get you up there. I said, but you got to stay stiff as a board or this thing will die a death.
Yes.
And,
what a fun moment. What a fun moment.
Oh my gosh.
Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for all the time today. I don't know what I expected, but it's always a great time catching up with you. Can't wait to watch some more stuff in the future with you and talk about the good old days. Are you making any appearances? Can people see you anytime soon? Is there any opportunity coming up for folks to come out and meet you?
Well, I don't have any more autograph shows this year. Well, I take that back. I think I have one in August. And I can't remember where exactly it is.
We'll plug it next month. No big deal.
But I know that I talked to a few people because my schedule is so free now because I don't have a day job. So I'm
you retired from the ministry.
No, I'm not retired from the ministry, but I don't work at the church anymore.
I got you.
So it is. I'm still doing stuff at the jail. I teach a class on Tuesdays. And then I still do our big events at the jail every other month. And so I'm excited about that. And, I don't know how you would, not to just elaborate on that, but you're in the ministry or you're not.
Right.
You can't all of a sudden be in the ministry and then not in the ministry because God called you to that. So yeah. Right. And so, but I do have a lot more time. So I'm looking at, possibly doing a few more enhancements. Autograph shows. And in fact, Tessa was here today. She and I went to cryotherapy together, which I have never done that. And
that was your first time today?
Yes. And
how was it?
It was cold.
Well, I've heard that.
Yeah. But my hand does feel better.
Oh, good.
So we'll see how I play golf tomorrow. And, but it, those kinds of things are open to, me doing it, autograph shows and whatever, and talked to Arn a little bit, and he's given me some pointers and
great.
And so it's all good stuff.
It's great stuff. And if you're looking to get Tully at an event near you, if you'll DM us your info, we'll get you in touch with Mr. Blanchard. Tully, I just thank you so much for all the time, man. This was a delight. Can't wait for next month. I mean, I haven't even clicked stop yet, and I'm ready for next month. Thank you so much. Coach Keith agrees. He's ready for next month's show already. Thanks for all the time today.
Conrad, it's a joy to be around you and great to talk with you. And it's great to be on TullyVision.
We'll see you guys next month right here on adfreeshows.com.